Okay, about to be video number 3, and then we might do 3 videos for this because they're short. Do a couple. We'll do that one, but
Imagine being woken up at 2 a.m. from a knock at your front door. Now, at first, you might try and ignore it, or maybe think it's another sound, but then you hear it again, and it's persistent. It keeps knocking. So you decide to go downstairs and open your front door. And on your front porch step, you see 2 young girls, probably around the ages of 8 to 10 years old. They say, "We're lost. Can you please let us in?" Well, most of us would say, of course. I mean, they're kids after all. Like, you gotta let in the kids. Come on. So, like most nice and caring people, you let them in the house. And as they're walking in, their faces hit the light, and you notice something looks a little bit off about them. It's their eyes.
Yeah, you done fucked up now. Too late. You did.
Now, black-eyed children are a mystery. Nobody really knows for sure what exactly they are. Some people claim that they're extraterrestrial beings. Others think that they're actually UFOs. And some people think that they're demons.
Yeah.
One thing most people can agree on is they're not actually children. They are simply posing as children, and typically children around the ages of 5 to probably 15 years old. Now, you may be wondering, why would a demon or why would an alien take the shape of an innocent-looking little girl? Like, that doesn't seem very intimidating at all, does it? Well, it's because who would close the door on a little girl at 2 a.m. in the morning who claims she's lost? Now, these children show up at your doorstep or on the side of your car, and they ask to be let in. Typically, they'll travel in pairs, but it's said that that's not always the case. Just for the most part. Now, some of them will be wearing sunglasses, others will have long bangs covering their eyes, and others will just look like regular kids. Now, when they show up at your doorstep, it is said that animals will be able to tell right away that there's something up with these kids. Even the most loyal of dogs will kind of cower in fear or even hide behind you. They're so scared. Now, when you answer the door, they'll typically use phrases like, "We're lost, can you let us in?" Or, "Can we use your telephone?" Now, let's just say if you let them in, it's not gonna end well. And if you don't let them in, well, it's said that only makes them angry. Yeah, they start off nice enough. They start off sounding very polite, but the longer you keep them waiting, the more triggered they're gonna be. Now, one man actually described his experience with these black-eyed children as saying he actually opened the door for them and gestured that they come in. But instead of coming in, the kids just stood there. And the one said, "We can't come in unless you say it's okay." Now, this behavior has actually been reported in a few instances, which leads us to believe that these children actually need to be verbally invited into the house. They need a verbal okay for them to come into your house. Which, I don't know about you, that makes me feel a little bit better about this whole situation, because you can just say no. Now, believe it or not, most people actually don't let these children into your houses, and it's surprising to me because, well, who wouldn't let in a lost little girl into their house or a lost little boy? Like, these are kids. Well, the reason that they don't let these kids in is the gut feeling that they get when they open the door. And it's not a feeling of sadness or a feeling of worry for the kids. It's a feeling of fear. Pure fear. And it's said that these children can actually cause you to feel that way by manipulating your emotions and making you feel terrified of them. Now, little is known about the supposed abilities of these black-eyed children and how they can manipulate human emotions. But people claim that they actually have the ability to kind of force you to open your door to them and force you to let them into your house or car, or even come back and open the door for them after you've already turned them away. Now, for the few who have actually let these children into their houses, it hasn't ended well. Now, one lady on Reddit actually described her encounter with these kids as just a terrifying and panic-filled night. But what was interesting wasn't what these children actually did when they were in their house. It was what happened once they left, because she hasn't slept since. Now, that might sound kind of scary, but they can do much worse than that. And it's actually said that these kids are highly radioactive. Now, one lady said that she had opened her door for these kids, and once they left, she started having heavy nosebleeds every single day. And after some time went on, she was later diagnosed with advanced skin cancer. And you may be thinking, well, that's just a fluke thing. There's no way that there's any correlation, right? Well, her skin cancer was consistent with being exposed to massive amounts of radiation. Remember how I said people claim that these kids are radioactive? Now, there are many other stories out there about what these kids actually do and the cause that they actually have on your life afterwards. And the thing is that each story is fairly unique and everyone kind of has a different experience with it. But they're all similar in the sense that they all end in tragedy. And this has led people to believe that these black-eyed children just carry such a negative energy and they pass that on to you once they get into your house. This energy changes your life and causes horrible things to happen to you. So are black-eyed children real? Well, the answer is, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like I said before, these things are a complete mystery to us. Nobody really knows what the heck they even are. And the research that I was able to do, it didn't sway me either way. All I know for sure is they're incredibly terrifying. And all this research and all this talk about them has brought up an old memory of mine. It's one that, honestly, I try and forget. So I don't know what to make of all this. This is probably not a black-eyed children story, but you never know. And this memory is probably the oldest memory that I have. And I think it is the oldest memory, like the oldest thing that I can actually remember. And it took place on a family vacation in Mexico. I was probably like 4 years old at the time, and I was the shyest boy you'd ever meet. I never ever went out of my way to speak to anyone unless they spoke to me. And even when they spoke to me, I never had anything to say. I was just a nervous wreck. I guess some things never change. Now, we were staying at a resort that had a kids club. So, of course, on the first day, I went to the kids club, and I stayed there, and I saw a girl about my age just sitting on this bench alone. And for some reason, I went up to her. I actually approached her. Why would a shy boy like me go out of my way to approach some random girl? Well, it wasn't because I wanted to, and it wasn't because I was interested in her. It was because I felt like I had to. It's like something was forcing me to walk up to her, and I can't remember much about what actually happened, but I'll always remember that feeling, and it was the feeling of terror. Now, my next memory from this day and from the same kind of moment was me and her sitting in the sandbox together, playing with the sand, and I remember her staring at me intently, like direct, intense staring at me. And as a young boy, you know how shy I already said how shy I was, so I refused to look at her in the face. I was just looking down at my toy and just playing. And we didn't even speak a word until she eventually said something about if she could stay with me and my family for the week. And I remember being confused and nervous, so I don't think I ever responded to that. I'm pretty sure I just ignored it. Now, she finally broke her stare and she started looking back down at her toy, and that's when I finally was able to turn and look at her face up close. And from the side profile, I noticed something was off about her, and it was her eyes. They looked like they were all black. I remember running back to my parents, and that was it. That's all I can remember about that day. But that is one of my oldest memories, and one of the creepiest memories that I don't know. I don't know. So was she a black-eyed child? Probably not, but all this talk about black-eyed children, it makes me wonder. So the other day I made a video all about the urban legend that is Slenderman. Now, in case you guys didn't watch the video, I basically kind of came to the conclusion that, well, Slenderman might not be so real. Now, I'm not totally...
Let's do this one first.
Hurry to Kohl's weekend sale and get 10 gear for the family at $14.99, now at Kohl's.
So I'm not gonna lie, one of the creepiest things to me growing...
Alright.